Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nwokocha. I'm a Nigerian by birth. I came to Vienna, Austria in 2004 as a refugee, and since then have been living there. When I came to Vienna, we were not allowed to work because of the asylum status. If you don't have the right document, you cannot work. So during this period, I spoke to people. I asked people what they do to survive. I thought about it for a while, what I can do here to make a living. Initially, I did not want to sell the newsletter because I was not comfortable with how the sellers and the passers-by related with each other. But at the end of the day, I made a decision to sell the Augustin because those days my situation was very precarious and cumbersome. I just needed to make I just needed to make money to survive. Otherwise, you cannot eat, you cannot pay, do anything. And also, I know that when the preferable is not available, then the available becomes the preferable. An idle man can as well become the devil's workshop, because if you don't have something doing, all you think is crime and whatever. But if you have something doing, if your mind is busy, life goes on. So I decided to start selling the newsletter. So I'd like to take a very short time to say a very big thank you to the Augustin management as well, because they provided an opportunity for people like us to come to a foreign country, start from nowhere, and still be able to live there and start from the grass. I'm very grateful, and I give a very big salute to the Augustin management, and I've always done this wherever I speak because it's a privilege, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, before I go further, I'd like to tell a short story. My first story is about forgiveness. I used to know a young man where I work. He was a very jovial, friendly guy, very nice, very, very disputing, very, very nice. And all of a sudden, I saw he was becoming cold. He does not say hello any longer. He just walks by and sometimes, and he's looking sick too. So one day I approached him and I asked him what the problem really was. I hope I did not offend your. He said, no, I did not offend him. It's not about me, but he's not fine. I said, well, then what's the problem? He said that he lent some money to his best friend, a large amount of money. He gave this money to him out of trust. And this friend of his, and, and this friend of his took this money from him and did not pay the money back. And he has been asking for this money from this friend of his, but he did not want to give back the money. He asked him for a while, and after a while, it got into a franchise. They began to quarrel and have arguments, and they said hurting words to each other. And since then, he's been very, very unhappy, very, very sad, very angry. And he also said to me that whenever he sees this friend of his, maybe in the Straßenbahn, U-Bahn, or anywhere, that he gets so angry that the anger can last the whole day. And from there, he started getting fever, he started getting feverish, he started becoming sick. And he vowed never to forgive his friend. So I spoke to him, I said, what your friend did to you was wrong. It's the callousness and bestiality of the human nature, but that's human for you. But saying that you will never forgive him is not about you. It's not about him, but it's about you. Because if you decide never to forgive your friend, whenever you see him, you'll feel very hot. There will be things raging inside of you, anger, to revenge for what he has done to you. But if you forgive him, it's a way of freeing yourself from his lapses. And then he looked at me. He looked at me again, and then he did not say anything. So he left. So after a while, one day I saw him again. He just ran by. He said, Phillips, do you know what? I said, what? He said, I thought about what you told me, and also, but I called up my friend, and I was trying to, okay, I apologize for it. You can hold the money and blah. But then my friend said to me that I can come and get half of the money, and that he'll give me the remaining half later. And this is a miracle. I said to him, okay, you see what forgiveness can do. If you've not forgiven him in the first place, you will never have wanted to call him. Now you called him up and you see what came out of it. So he said, it's true. So then I told him, I said, listen, in life, people will wrong you and you will hurt people. You will wrong people. It's natural. That's the human nature. But never forget, when you say you will never forgive somebody, you're the one harming yourself. It's like you drinking poison and expecting the poison to kill the other person. It doesn't work that way. The poison kills you, not the other person. So, but by you forgiving this person, you free yourself. It's like you carrying a very heavy load on your head. And when you'll be able to forgive this person, you have just let the load calm down. It's a big relief on your part. Whenever you see this person, there'll be no raging of anger, revenge, whatever any longer. You'll be free. And that is for your own. And that is the wisdom nugget there. Learning to forgive. Then I told him that to forgive, to err is human. Human, we err each other. To err is human, but to forgiveness is divine. And this also leads me to my next story. Where I work at the gasometer, people here in Vienna might know there. For so many years I've been there, and in 2009, the early part of 2009, I started getting threats from the people there, from the security men asking me to leave that place. I said, why? They said I'm too happy. I always laugh and shout, and why should I be happy all the time? Yeah, this is Austria, you don't have to laugh all the time. I said, wow, this is strange. What has it got to do with Austria? And then they said I have to leave this, I cannot be happy all the time. So initially I did not take them serious. So what I did was that I told some people that are passing by, but this threat continued. So after a while I told the police, because the police, they know me there for so many years. And the policeman was very angry. He said to me, just stay here. Don't go anywhere. And if they come again, come to the police and report. So when they came again, I told the security man, I said, I've told this to the police are aware of this. And when they heard that I told the police, they left. And since then, they did not disturb me again. So after a while, one of them came back again and he said to me, he bought the Augustin and he said, you're a good man, I know, but it's not our fault. We are just walking here. From up there are people that are jealous, because you're always laughing and people are coming to you, men, women, boys, girls, and you're just playing, So I said, but what has that got to do with that? Happiness is a decision. They decide themselves. It's an open decision. It's something you have to do yourself. You have to work on yourself. You decide whether to be happy or whether to be sad. And also, one thing that I observed while working with the public or working outside with people that are not working with you, or let me say, one thing that I learned or observed in working in the street is that whenever people that are sad see you happy, they get jealous, irritated, and frustrated. Why? Because it reminds them of their own unhappiness. Yeah, that's just, so, but I try to tell them, no, happiness is something you can do, you can learn. It's an attitude that can be inculcated. And also, after this time, then these people did not come again. I learned also one thing about our environment. Our environment makes us. In fact, our environment determines the kind of person we become. If your environment is with critics, in less than no time you become a critic. If your environment is with depressed or angry people, before you know it, it influences you. But if your environment is with people that laugh, people that are happy, you become automatically happy. And that is just a nugget of truth. And then I also told the security guy that came, I said to him, to be happy is not difficult. It's just your decision. To be happy, it has nothing to do with taking drugs or alcohol. I don't take drugs. I've been here now for 4 years. So should I be buying drugs every day? So, and he said to me, yes, I know, we know this, but yeah, but that is just the way it is. So after that, then he left. But inside, he said, I hope you've forgiven me. I said, no, I know the secret of forgiveness. I've already forgiven from the first day. I've forgiven you and I've forgotten it all. It's not in my mind. I know that you're only working here and you're only doing your job. And then he left. And this also reminds me of something that I'd like to share with my audience. There's a secret to happiness. It's called contentment. Being able to be satisfied with who you are, where you are, and what you have at that point in time. Learning to enjoy life the way it has been for you then. Learning to appreciate life and know that life is a gift. Whether you have €1, then it makes no difference. The compatibility is all in you and all about you. Being able to say, okay, I'll enjoy this time in my life. And also this leads me to my third story about a young man that met me one day. He said he has been observing for so many years that he's he told me his stories. He said, why am I always happy? That he told me his stories of how he's been frustrated by his parents, his relationships was ruined and everything, but he was a very rich guy. This guy was very, very rich. He's not working, but what this guy earns in one day, I don't think I even earn it in the whole, this guy is very, very wealthy, a very wealthy young man. And I was amazed the way he opened up to me to tell me this. And he asked me, he said, what are the secrets? Just tell me, what am I going to do? And I told him the first thing you should do is first throw away your pride and learn to listen to yourself. You're a happy man. Who told you you're not happy? When he was telling me all this, I was just looking at it and imagining in my head. It's like somebody that is complaining that he has no shoes. He has no shoes. I don't have a shoe. Until he goes out and he sees somebody without legs. Will he not appreciate the fact that he has no shoe, that he'll be able to buy a shoe one day? This is the way it is. I told him that everything is inside of you. Just be appreciative of what you have or where you are. Be contented with what you have. And then he looked at me again and he said, is that all? I said, yeah, you start gradually. Happiness does not mean that everything is perfect, but it means that you've decided to look beyond the imperfections to enjoy what you have. So he said, what else? What else? I said, what else do you want to know? He said, tell me the real. I said, I just told you, these things are little things. You've read them in books. He said he's been to psychotherapy. You've read it, you've seen psychotherapy, but do you practice them? It's not about how much of books we read. It's about practicing it. And happiness can be practiced in our daily life every day. It is something that we can do every day. Life has its pros and cons. Life plays with every one of us every now and then. But it has to do with what you think and how you can be able to handle life yourself. Happiness and unhappiness are two sides of the same coin. They are the same. They are relatively. It's the same thing. It's like a thin line between hate and trust. But you choose where you belong. You choose what you want. You decide to be happy. Waking up in the morning has nothing to do with I woke up on the left-hand side or I woke up on the right-hand side. No. Whether you wake up on the corner side or the left side, it's an attitude. It's a decision. I decided to be happy. Whether things go well, things does not go well, I've decided to be happy. And then at the end of the day, he left. And after some time, he came back again. He said that he really thought about what I told him, that I'm a very wise young man. I said, you're also wise, but you're not putting the wisdom that you know because you're very educated. This is why you're doing what you're doing. This is why you're very wealthy. But the knowledge you have, why don't you practice the knowledge you've learned? And then I told him, I said to him, listen, our life is a sum total of our choices. Your choice determines what you get. If you make a choice to be happy, no matter what, you will be happy. But if you decide to be happy today and tomorrow, it will be like that for you. So after this whole thing, he came back. He gave me a laptop at the end of the day to say a very big thank you to me, and also some money. But the truth of the whole thing is that he did not commit a suicide. He did not kill his boss any longer, and he did not commit a suicide. And I even saw him early part of this year or last year, and he's trying to get back into life and get back his balance of life. So what am I trying to share with us here is that our life, let me give this example. When we were children, we thought that life will be super, life will be excellent. We've always been hopeful, very, very hopeful. But then when we started growing up into adults, sometimes the reverse might be the case. But then there is something called attitude. Your attitude determines how high you fly. And that is also happiness, because happiness is an attitude. So we learn to be happy. God bless you. And God bless the TEDxPannonia.